Hello and welcome, this is Noah with Nomad Gaming, and thank you for joining us for another video about the Marvel Champions LCG. Today we have got the Hulk Hero Pack opening, the exciting new product released from Fantasy Flight Games this week. We're going to go through real quick the cards in the pack. If you haven't checked out our in-depth review of the hero and the hero cards, you can do that. The link should appear somewhere on the screen soon. And then we're going to go through today the aspect cards that come with the pre-constructed deck, as well as the bonus aspect cards for each of the other aspects. This is a aggression precon deck, so we're going to see how aggressive our Hulk can get. But let's go ahead and jump over to the camera and take a look. This is, of course, our hero pack. It comes with a fantastic poster of the Hulk. We're going to put that up there. And we are going to start off with the hero card just real quick. That's a Bruce Banner. He's got the experimental research ability, draw a card and then discard a card. Found it very useful in the games I've played so far. Just being able to, with a small hand size, filter for cards that you actually can play or want to play in a certain circumstance. Then we've got Hulk. He's got the ability Enraged, which makes us discard our hand at the end of each turn. Perfectly fine ability. Does add some strategy to it, but the 4 hand size makes it so that we really just want to play what we've got and keep moving. 3 attack, 3 defense, strong card, lots of fun. We will keep him right there for now. Alright, let's see. We're going to make an adjustment here. And we'll quickly run through the hero cards, but like I said, they're more in-depth review already on the channel, so take a look at that if you'd like. We've got 2 copies of Crushing Blow. That's going to give us damage equal to our attack. We can only pay for this with strength resources. We've got 2 copies of Hulk Smash, which has a hero interrupt. When we use our basic attack, get plus 10 attack for that. And if we pay only with strength resources, we get Overkill. We got 2 copies of Suborbital Leap, which removes 3 threat from a scheme, or 5 if we pay for it using only strength resources. We got Thunderclap. That's a hero action. Choose up to 3 different enemies, deal 3 damage to each of them. Unstoppable Force, another set of 2. That says if you paid for this card using only strength resources, draw a card. And we got 2 Limitless Strengths. This can only be used in hero form, but that's 3 strength resources on that card. We get a Banner's Laboratory, which gives us plus 2 recover and a resource ability in alter ego mode. Boundless Rage gives us plus 1 attack, but discards after we change back to alter ego mode. And finally, Immovable Object, plus 4 hit points and retaliate 1. Very useful. Came in, well played, lots of fun. Alright, let's get over to what we wanted to look at in this pack. Very exciting set of cards here. A lot of players are touting some of these as the best cards in the aspect so far. But for our purposes, let's go ahead and jump in and see what we've got. So, first off, we've got She-Hulk. She-Hulk is an ally, 4 cost, 2 thwart with 2 consequential damage, or 1 attack with 1 consequential damage. But she gets plus 1 attack for each damage token on her. That's 4 health, so very cool indeed. I mean, this really, you put her in, you get a thwart off, and then you get to attack 2 more times with her for 3 and 4 damage each. That's pretty efficient resources here. That's 9 total action points, I guess you could call them. That's 2 thwart and 7 damage. Actually, it's more than that. Yeah, it is. That's exactly right. So 7 damage and 2 thwart for 4 cost. This is good. You could even use her to defend if you need to. A lot of fun. I like this card. I had a good play with it when we got it out onto the table. Let's see. We also got Sentry. Sentry is a 4 cost ally. He has 2 thwart and 3 attack with 1 consequential damage. He has 5 health, and the force response after he enters play, deal yourself 1 encounter card. So you get an extra encounter card, but you get huge stats and a big health pool. Only 1 consequential damage on each of these. This could be up to 15 damage or 10 thwart, depending on how you use him. This is pretty useful. And that extra encounter card shouldn't be as much of a problem as you would hope, might think it would be. This guy turned out to be an all-star for me. Brawn, Amadeus Cho. This guy is a 3 cost ally with 1 thwart and 1 attack with 1 consequential damage. He's a champion gamma, and he has 5 health, but he has a response. After he attacks, remove 1 threat from a scheme. This guy is so cool. You can use him to pull off a tough from a minion or from the villain, and then you still get to take a threat off a scheme. You can deal 1 damage chipping away and take 1 threat off of a scheme. I just found a lot of use out of this. 5 threat off of the scheme in addition to getting your attack bonuses there is very useful. I think he's going to find home in more decks, especially with that 3 cost coming in very handy. Alright, next up we're going to get 3 copies of Marvel Prowess. Now this guy is probably not going to find 3 copies of it in any other deck that I build, but a couple of copies maybe, at most 2, probably 1 in most of the decks that I'm looking to play. Anything that has strength resource matching. It's a 2 cost upgrade. It says play under any player's control, and it's max 1 per player. It's resource, exhaust martial prowess, and generate a strength resource for an attack event. So we got 1 of these on the table for us, and we are going to be able to use it to generate resources, which is not only incredibly useful, but incredibly fun. Alright. 2 cost upgrade. I like it. Got sidetracked there. Had to take a drink of water. Alright, and on to our next exciting card. This is another event. This is Dropkick, which is a 3 cost event. There are 3 of these in the deck as well. This is a attack event. The hero attack, deal 4 damage to an enemy. If you paid for this card using only strength resources, stun that enemy and draw 1 card. Now this cards that stun are awesome. Cards that stun and replace themselves are awesome. Cards that stun, replace themselves, and deal damage are just fantastic. This card is good. I've played this every single time it came into my hand. It felt like it did what it needed to do when it needed to do it. The stun comes in incredibly handy, especially if you're playing solo and you don't want to take another attack from a big villain. I can't say enough. This card is going to find a home in a lot of decks and has super powered the aggression pool, especially the aggression pool focusing on the physical resources. Now here's where we get a little bit wonky on the pre-constructed deck. We are trying to play strength resources, and we've got 2 new events here that come without strength resource icons, but they're going to find homes in other decks, I can tell you that for sure. The first one here is You'll Pay for That. This is a 1 cost event. It's a thwart event. It says after the villain attacks you, remove 1 threat from a scheme for each damage you took from an attack, up to a maximum of 5. It's got an energy resource. This could find a home in a couple of other decks. It's got a place here, and it is useful here in this deck, but the energy resource can be a huge burden, especially with some of the Hulk cards that say you have to use strength resources to pay for it. So in my first build, I'm probably going to be trying to play without these, but there is a threat risk when you're playing Hulk and you start pulling stuff that takes threat away. So keep that in mind, but this card is good. Being able to knock 5 threat off of a scheme for 1 cost is awesome, and with 18 hit points you've got the space to soak up that damage and then use this to manage your threat. Now I will say a little risk with it. I tried to set this up so that I could get a big swing to pull or to clear a side scheme, and I ended up only taking 2 damage because I flipped boost cards that had no icons. So yeah, that was tough because it didn't do what I needed it to do, and I lost the game, but good stuff anyway. Alright, this one's the other one that's in the deck without a strength resource. This is Toe to Toe. It's a 1 cost event. It has a mental resource. It says choose an enemy. That enemy attacks you and deal 5 damage to that enemy. I like the 5 damage. I use this pretty regularly when it came through my hand, but the mental resource is a liability here. This finds a great home in She-Hulk. Let's just go there. She wants some mental resources. That's good to go. This is also a fun one in Spider-Man. With a Spider-Man aggression build, you use some of his aspect-specific cards, or not his aspect cards, his signature cards, to help defend and avoid damage, and then you can deal 5 damage for 1 cost in that. So he's also got a little bit of synergy with mental resources. Black Cat can help him pull this into his hand, so good stuff there. Closing off the aggression cards here, we do have 2 power of aggression, and that's going to put a cap on the pile for us for the aggression cards. There are a handful of basic cards in the pre-con, only 1 new card. Of course, we've got the 3 regular resource cards, or double resource cards. We got an Avengers Mansion, we've got a helicarrier, and then we've got our new card, which is To the Rescue, which is a 2-cost event. It is a hero action thwart, remove 2 threat from a scheme, and it's got a strength resource. This guy's cool. I mean, 2 cost for 2 threat, not the best thing that you can do, but in a deck like this where you don't have a lot of options to manage threat, this is really good. Plus the resource match is a fantastic thing to have. Also, America Chavez art, bonus points, 2 FFG, could be foreshadowing future hero here, or at least an ally, but should be a hero. Chavez is cool. I think we should have more Chavez in the game. Let me know if you agree with that in the comments below. And that's the pre-con. So this mess of cards that's now in front of you, let's see if we can clean that up a little bit. We've got the pre-con deck. It's got our To the Rescue. We've got our aspect specific cards. We'll put our She-Hulk here on top of that pile, and then we've got the immovable object himself, Hulk, with his limitless strength. So that's the pre-con deck. That's a good deck. It's a solid build. You don't have to do a lot with this out of the box. Like I said, I might trim up those martial prowess and cut some of the events that don't have the resource match. There are resource match events that we can put in the deck that have a better effect. So we'll look at that in a future video though. Let's take a quick look at the extra aspect cards that we have in the deck. For Justice, we're going to get Beat Cop, 3 cost support, exhaust Beat Cop to move a threat from a scheme here, and then exhaust and discard Beat Cop as a different action to deal 1 damage to a minion for each threat here. This guy's cool. I like this. I'm really excited to play this one. So we will see where that fits in to our life going forward. We also get a leadership event. This is Inspiring Presence. It is a 1-cost event. Play if your identity has the Avenger trait. Heal 1 damage and from an ally and ready it. Very excited for that as well. I can see Captain America has some new friends here, and a couple other decks that we've been playing where we take advantage of those synergies with allies that we want to keep on the field. We can heal them, ready them, lots of good stuff. This card's exciting. This is our protection card, and our protection card is Electrostatic Armor. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player, and after you defend against an attack, deal 1 damage to the attacking character. So this is not Retaliate, but it's like Retaliate, and so it stacks with Retaliate is what I believe the ruling has been. So get this out into play. You can start dealing damage back. This is going to be fun with a lot of our protection builds. Black Panther's going to like this in my particular favorite protection build, and then also Spider-Man's going to like this. Anybody playing protection is going to like this, but lots of fun there. And then finally, we have the 1-cost basic Resourceful, featuring some cool vision art. It's a skill, it's an upgrade, and it says resource, discard Resourceful, generate a wild resource. So I see this card fitting in to decks that have a couple of extra spots that you don't want to fill with dead weight, but if you put this in, you can play this onto the table. It thins your deck out. You can leave it until you need it. Then if you do need it, it's an extra resource. Plus, it's got that wild resource, so decks like the Hulk here that need resource matching can take full advantage of this. Lots of fun to have that card. But that's going to wrap it up for us today. Nope, it's not. Rewind, pause, extra cards. Don't forget our obligations. This guy is terrible, but fun. This is the most fun obligation in the game, I think. It forces you to flip forms, and then you have a consequence depending on what you end up in. I think that's great. Great design. High five FFG on that. And then, of course, our minion set here, we've got Abomination. Abomination is 2 scheme, 3 attack with a force response on attacks that you discard the top card of your deck, and you get extra damage if it's a strength resource icon. We've got Total Destruction. This cannot be removed from the scheme, or threat cannot be removed from the scheme while Abomination is in play. It doesn't have a lot of threat, but it's hard to get rid of, and it's got an extra encounter card icon. And then we've got 3 Clash of the Titans, and Clash of the Titans says, when revealed, the enemy with the highest attack attacks the hero or ally with the highest attack. First player decides ties. If no attack is made, this card gains Surge. Yeah, the enemy with the highest attack. So your villain could attack you. You could get attacked by Abomination. You could get attacked by something else. It is, there's a lot of them, and it's going to target the highest attack on the table. So anybody's at risk for that, but good card. And that actually will bring us to the conclusion of our video today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, share, turn on your notifications, and stay up to date with the channel. We thank you for being with us, and until next time, let's go game.